at Arirang. South Korea is set to report daily infections above the 3,000 mark once again Friday. Amid rising cases and a potential shortage of hospital beds, authorities will announce new measures to cope with the issue later today. U.S. President Joe Biden has hinted at a possible diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. While he did not elaborate on what it could look like, such a move would almost certainly reignite already simmering U.S.-China tensions. And the IMF warns inflation could remain longer in some countries if the disruption to global supply chains lingers on. It urged central banks to remain vigilant over inflationary pressures.
Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of New Day at Arirang. It's 8 a.m. on November 19th here in Seoul, South Korea. The weekend is almost upon us. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom.
And I'm Kim Mo-gyan. Over the next hour, we'll take a look at the big news stories of the day and get expert insights on the issues facing Korea and the world.
Now, our top story this morning, the healthcare system in the Greater Seoul area is getting dangerously close to breaking point due to the spike in patients critically ill with COVID-19. Health officials in South Korea say they are working on an all-hands-on-deck scenario in a bid to secure more ICU beds.
To fill us in with the latest COVID-19 updates, we have here with us our reporter Kim Yeon-sung. Good morning, Yeon-sung.
Good morning.
Well, so before we get into the overwhelmed ICU beds shortage, let's start with today's numbers. We're expecting it to be around 3,000 again?
Yes, that's right. So we are looking at possibly another day with over 3,000 cases, or somewhere near at least. First, take a look at this past week's COVID-19 tally. So after recording 3,000 cases this Wednesday for the first time in 2 months, as you can see in this graphic here, and for only the second time since the onset of the pandemic, daily COVID infections have stayed above the 3,000 line for a couple of days now. And with health authorities tallying up to almost 2,700 cases last night, there's a high chance that Friday will start off somewhere near that 3,000 mark again. The capital city of Seoul will likely see more than 1,400 cases 3 days in a row, with authorities having traced 1,331 new cases on Thursday night.
And Yeon-sung, do we have any idea about where exactly these infections are springing up from?
Well, care hospitals and nursing homes are actually one of the main hotbeds of the latest virus surge. Currently, 36 care hospitals and 2 nursing homes that have seen infections within their premises are in cohort isolation, meaning the people in there are quarantined together as a group. The 36 care hospitals that have seen up to 1,880 infection cases in total in recent days. Authorities say although it's not time to pull the brakes on easing of COVID-19 restrictions yet, they might zero in on these high-risk facilities and tweak the prevention measures in a way that could put a cap on the source of the outbreak.
Now, Yeon-sung, tell us more on the shortage of the ICU beds in the capital region.
Well, it is a bit concerning because the beds are filling up rather quickly. So as of now, ICU beds in the Seoul capital region are more than 78% full, going up almost 1 to 2 percentage points each day. So more than 400 patients in Greater Seoul were waiting for their beds on Thursday. Prime Minister Kim Boo-kyum is meeting with the directors of general hospitals in the capital region this morning to discuss this urgent issue and ways to expand healthcare capacity in the capital area. The Ministry of Health and Welfare is also due to make an announcement in a few hours to talk about their plan for securing more ICU beds. There was a special message from the Blue House Thursday afternoon as well. President Moon Jae-in urged government officials to work in full force to stabilize the situation and asked them to take special care in acquiring the extra ICU beds. He also added that the road back to normal won't be an easy journey, especially judging by the situation in other countries that have taken this step ahead of South Korea.
So what exactly did President Moon Jae-in mean when he said about other countries starting this journey before South Korea? Did he point out any particular examples?
No, he did not, but let me fill you in with some the latest updates in Europe. So because most European countries have started months ahead of South Korea in terms of COVID-19 vaccine rollouts, they were also very early in easing the measures as early as this summer. So they did But things haven't been easy for them since. For example, Germany on Thursday, they reported more than 65,000 cases, breaking through the 60,000 mark for the first time. Germany's top health official warned that the country is in for a very bad Christmas if they don't tighten the measures to dampen the spread. Greece's healthcare sector has also been so overwhelmed with the surge in infection cases that they had to call in doctors from the private sector to help out with a growing number of patients in public hospitals and intensive care wards.
All right. Thank you for the report, Yun-Sung. We will be able to see you next week again, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. We'll look forward to it.
Thank you, as always, to our Kim Yun-Sung for the updates on the COVID-19 situation, both here in Korea and around the world. It's seemingly getting worse by the day, unfortunately. Now, moving on, just days after President Biden held his first summit since taking office with Chinese President Xi Jinping. That was a virtual summit, of course. President Xi Jinping hasn't left China since this pandemic began, but President Biden hinted at a possible diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics.
Well, he did not elaborate on what it could look like. Such a move would almost certainly reignite already simmering U.S.-China tensions. Kim Hyo-san with more.
President Biden says he's weighing a diplomatic boycott of the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing. This means Washington could decide not to send a delegation of government officials to the Chinese capital.
Sir, do you support a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Olympics?
Something we're considering.
His comments come just days after he held a virtual summit with his Chinese counterpart to seek ways to reduce tensions between the two superpowers, which have flared over Taiwan, trade policies, and other issues. However, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Thursday that President Biden's consideration of a diplomatic boycott is not related to his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Rather, she explained the administration is deeply concerned about the human rights abuses in China's Xinjiang region. Human rights advocates have spent months lobbying the White House to call for a full-scale U.S. boycott of the 2022 Games. They hope a Washington-led boycott would send a strong message to China, as well as other authoritarian countries, about America's commitment to endorse democratic freedom. The U.S. traditionally sends a group of high-profile dignitaries, often led by the sitting vice president or the first lady, to attend Olympic events such as the opening and closing ceremonies. First Lady Jill Biden led the U.S. delegation to the 2020 Tokyo Summer Games. Kim Hyo-san, Arirang News.
The top diplomats of China and Japan have spoken on the phone for the first time since the inauguration of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. During Thursday's call, Japan's Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi raised concerns over the situation in Hong Kong and human rights abuses in China's Xinjiang region. He also conveyed concerns about Beijing's repeated entry into its waters near the Japanese-controlled Chinese-claimed Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi urged Tokyo against engaging in division and confrontation. Despite their frosty talks, the two sides agreed to pursue dialogue and cooperation going forward. South Korea's National Security Council is preparing to resume forestry cooperation with North Korea. President Moon Jae-in proposed cooperation with the regime during the UN Climate Change Conference this month to reduce carbon emissions as well as to ensure peace on the peninsula. The two sides had agreed on forestry cooperation during the 2018 summit, but there's been little development. The council members reviewed related matters, including developments regarding the end-of-war declaration, and vowed to coordinate closely with related parties to swiftly resume talks with the regime. South Korea and 14 northern region countries met Thursday to discuss ways to promote a partnership and pursue sustainable growth. Cooperation is expected to benefit both sides in the new energy sector. Lee Kyung-eun reports.
Marking 3 decades of diplomatic relations between South Korea and Eurasian countries, South Korean President Moon Jae-in has vowed to further strengthen cooperation for the region's inclusive green growth. Moon delivered a message virtually at the 3rd International Forum for Northern Economic Cooperation.
북방 국가들의 기후 위기 대응과 저탄소 경제 전환을 돕는
그린 뉴딜 ODA를 전폭적으로 지원할 것입니다.
14 countries located at the juncture of Europe and Asia have been key partners of Seoul under Moon's new northern policy that seeks to promote regional collaborations. And amid the global initiative for going carbon neutral, the two sides will have more to offer each other in developing new renewable energy projects. Northern region countries can provide their abundant natural resources, whereas South Korea can offer its advanced technology.
Russia's eastern region is famous for its great resources like wind and coastal tidal energy, and the country is cooperating with South Korea on hydrogen car projects, allowing Hyundai Motors to have a production facility there. There's also a production site in Uzbekistan.
Former U.S. President Bill Clinton stressed that such cooperation is inevitable given the world's inherent nature of interdependence, calling it the only pathway to a positive-sum game.
Where we can work together to confront our shared challenges and seize our shared opportunities, even as we have our disagreements, about building the kind of regional and global partnerships that will make our world more stable, secure, peaceful, and prosperous.
South Korea's leading boiler company, Gyeongdong Navien, and Uzbekistan's Textile Federation share their own experiences of exchanging technologies and localization, presenting a point of reference for others going into the future. 이경은, Arirang News.
The IMF is warning inflation could hang around longer in some countries if the disruption to the global supply chain lingers on. The agency warned central banks Thursday to remain vigilant over inflationary pressures, adding that it's working through scenarios on monetary policies and the potential impact on the global economy. For the US, where inflation hit an over 30-year high last month, analysts project the rate to slow next year, although upside risks remain. However, they say that if US inflation results in a front-loaded policy response, the impact would be large on the US and world economy. South Korea's producer prices hit a record high in October, extending gains for a 12th month in a row. According to the Bank of Korea Friday, the producer price index stood at 112, up 0.8% from the previous month. On year, the reading is up almost 9%. That's the biggest jump since October 2008. The BOK attributed the rise to higher costs of industrial goods, which are affected by rising raw material prices. Domestic sales of eco-friendly cars hit record highs in South Korea in October. South Korea's exports of these vehicles also hit their highest level to date last month. Kim Sung-min with this report.
The age of the combustion engine is seemingly fading as eco-friendly vehicles are rapidly expanding their market share. So far this year in South Korea, the number of people buying regular gas or diesel engine cars has been falling. On the other hand, the portion of newly registered eco-friendly cars has increased throughout the year to reach 27.3% in October, up around 15% from January. This comes despite the disruption in the automobile industry due to the chip shortage. Contrary to South Korea's auto industry overall, which saw drops in sales and exports on year, eco-friendly cars saw their sales increase. In October, 34,000 eco-friendly cars were sold locally, up 60% on year. That figure has been increasing for 21 straight months. Exports of eco-friendly cars also surged almost 33% last month from a year ago to some 38,000 cars, the highest on record. The best-selling exports were hybrid EVs and EVs, which together took up almost 90% of the total. While the biggest export destination was North America, demand in Europe is also increasing, with European countries' ambitious CO2 emissions goals. Experts say that it's important to expand the production of auto chips as global eco-friendly vehicle demand is expected to keep rising over the next few years.
If the demand in the global automobile market keeps growing until 2024, then demand in EVs will grow rapidly. And that's why we have to prepare for it in advance. We have to keep that in mind and have to expand the production of chips now.
He added that the country's auto industry will depend on the chip supply situation, especially as eco-friendly cars like EVs need more semiconductors than other cars. Kim Sung-min, Arirang News.
South Korea's Hyundai Motor and its local rival Kia Motors have ranked 11th and 19th respectively in the 2022 Consumer Reports Auto Reliability Report. Japanese automakers Lexus, Mazda, and Toyota made up the top 3. Tesla ranked second to last at 27th. Among the top 10 most reliable new cars, the report had Kia Motors' Niro EV at number 2. The report shows how well vehicles hold up over time and the odds an owner could be inconvenienced by problems and repairs. Helping startups grow their businesses in South Korea. That's the goal of the Ministry of SMEs and Startups 2021 K-Startup Grand Challenge. Over the past 3 months, 60 overseas startups took part in business acceleration program in Korea, receiving advice and financial support. The 30 top performers were rewarded with an additional support package that will start from January next year. The top 10 teams were given extra prize money. The top winner received $120,000 US. Big companies in South Korea have been pouring funds into promising startups. Steelmaker POSCO was the first conglomerate to launch such an incubating program. And this year marks the 10th anniversary of Idea Marketplace. Kim Do-yeon reports.
Celebrating its 10th anniversary, POSCO's Idea Marketplace held its 22nd demo day for innovative tech startups on Thursday. 7 companies were chosen to showcase their businesses after months of extensive training programs that ranged from how to start a business to raising funds for research and development.
POSCO was the first conglomerate to start IMP in 2011, a venture incubation program based on technology. Since then, IMP has been actively discovering startups nationwide and has been fostering them and supporting them with funding.
442 companies have been admitted to the program since it began 10 years ago, and 132 of them have received direct investment from POSCO. Those companies now have a combined estimated value of around $1.7 billion US. But participants say it's not just about the numbers.
New technology has to be recognized, and because companies like POSCO took interest, it makes it easier for us to convince others.
A notable aspect of the event was the venue, a new hub that the company opened in the city of Pohang called CHANGeUP Ground. This 7-story building on the campus of Pohang University of Science and Technology opened in July this year to foster competitive startups in their incubation stage. As of now, 71 different startups have moved into this building, ranging from smartphone applications to environmentally friendly manufacturing businesses.
Through CHANGeUP Ground, we intend to create 2 growth engines for South Korea, venture companies and local economies. Ultimately, we want a company from CHANGeUP Ground that's bigger than POSCO.
Accepted firms enjoy many benefits too. From robotics research and development labs for startups that cannot afford the equipment to 3D printing for prototypes. There's also a communal break area.
The participants support each other. I started relatively recently, so there are some that have more experience than I do. I ask for advice depending on the stage of the business, and their words really help my company grow.
The company also said that the goal for the next 10 years is to have one of the companies become a unicorn company, a startup that is valued at over $1 billion US, or even be listed on the NASDAQ in the US. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News, Pohang.
Now it's time for On Point, where we speak to experts to delve deeper into the biggest news stories in the spotlight. right now. Today, November 19th, is World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse. Unfortunately, countless studies have shown sexual, physical and mental abuse of school-age kids has skyrocketed during the pandemic, especially when widespread stay-at-home orders are in effect. This is the same worldwide, not just here in South Korea. While there is no conclusive link as of yet, some experts have speculated that COVID-19 and pandemic-related stresses created kind of a perfect storm for this abuse.
And making matters even more depressing, such studies only scratch the surface, as the vast majority of child abuse cases are never reported due to youngsters feeling scared, humiliated, confused, or isolated. For more, we connect to Ali Seo, professor of psychology at Seongsin Women's University. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
Professor, do we have clear evidence showing antivirus response measures heighten the risk of child abuse both in Korea and abroad?
We certainly do. Actually, recent studies have shown both domestically and internationally that child abuse has been increased. One study that came out of Johns Hopkins has shown that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, physical child abuse has increased from 4% in 2019 to 13% in 2020 for children under 15. And also the case in Korea, rates of child abuse have increased by 2.9%, according to the Ministry of Welfare.
Yeah, it's extremely sad indeed. But since the pandemic began, it's really made it harder for kids who are victims of such abuse to seek help, as they have more time stuck at home, so they don't have this social interaction with people outside their family. So in your view, after some 3 years of living through this pandemic, do you think it's time for schools just to stay open no matter how severe the COVID situation is at any given time?
No, I think keeping schools open is one solution, but I don't think it's a fundamental solution in addressing child abuse. So with the pandemic most likely taking a chronic course, we do have to address the mental health issues and difficulties of, staying together in a confined space for a long amount of time. And, we really need to get that help to parents in terms of, helping them learn strategies to manage their stress, whether it's alleviating economic concerns or taking care of their mental health. We do need more fundamental solutions to dealing with child abuse.
And also, Professor, for people who think they may have seen signs of child abuse, things like unexplained injuries, unaddressed medical needs, or unexplained changes in behavior, what steps can we take here in South Korea? And is it possible to report such suspicions anonymously?
And that's a great question. There are certain numbers that you can call to report child abuse. For example, you can call 112 and you can report anonymously, or you can even report by text message. There's also number 182, which will connect you to someone who will help you report the child abuse. And, it is better to report than not report, but it is a little bit more difficult to actually kind of really get down on reporting child abuse if it is reported anonymously.
Yeah, well, we hope that if the authorities do get some anonymous tips, they are followed up upon. But since you deal with mental health issues in kids who, all the data shows, are extremely unlikely to get very ill from COVID, are you a little bit disappointed that the pandemic and the related antivirus policies kind of overshadow everything at this point, even the happiness and safety of everyone's children? In your mind, is it reaching the point where people say enough is enough, focus on more health issues than just COVID?
Sure. And, I don't think it should be one or the other. It shouldn't be, the public health or just mental health. So I think, the government does need to take responsibility for keeping that balance in terms of, keeping the people safe from COVID, but also, addressing mental health issues and preventing child abuse.
All right, Professor Ali Seo, we appreciate your insights on this serious and sadly unreported problem. We should make this our focus every day, not just once a year. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
South Korea's grueling college entrance exam is over now. That happened on Thursday, so students who took the test can kind of cut loose and dive into their hobbies for a bit after months upon months of studying day and night. For many, the go-to is video games, as you might expect. And just in time, G-Star is finally back as an offline event, meaning you can go there in person. Our Kim Bok-young went to check it out and files this report.
Gaming fans are gathering at the southeastern port city of Busan as Korea's largest game convention, global game exhibition, the G-Star, kicks off at POSCO. Coming back this year as a regular face-to-face event, the 17th edition of G-Star features 672 game companies from 40 countries.
This year, South Korea's three major gaming companies, NCSoft, Netmarble, and Nexon, known collectively as 3N, are not participating. But put your worries aside, as other rising game makers like Kakao Games and Krafton are presenting their own massive hits.
Taking the spotlight at G-Star 2021 is Kakao Games, the main sponsor of the event. It is taking up 100 booths to present a wide range of games, including Odin Valhalla Rising, which contributed heavily to the company's all-time high net profit during the third quarter.
We have turned a total of 100 booths into one whole stage. We are going to showcase 7 games, including Odin, the most popular of this year, and to-be-released games.
Setting the standard for the Battle Royale game, Krafton is attracting gamers with its latest mobile offering, PUBG New State. With more than 10 million downloads on the Google Play Store within just a week of its release, Krafton's booth is just enough to catch G-Star visitors' eyes.
The game's background is the year 2051, so we try to make our booth feel like the distant future. Also, you can actually get to look at in-game items, such as a drone supply kit, while touring around the booth.
Other local and overseas gaming companies, such as Shift Up and Tencent's Aurora Studio, have also joined the event. To make sure everyone safely enjoys G-Star, organizers are imposing strict health measures.
We are only letting people in who have either vaccine passes or negative PCR results within 48 hours. Given that lots of visitors are adolescents who are not vaccinated, we believe such strict measures are necessary.
Visitors who want to see the latest game trends can visit Busan until Sunday. Kim Bok-young, Arirang News, Busan.
The KT Wiz have swept the Doosan Bears in the best-of-7 Korean series to claim their first ever KBO championship. The league's 10th and newest club beat the Bears 8-4 at the Go-Chok Sky Dome in Seoul on Thursday to be crowned champs after just 7 years of top-flight Korean baseball. Despite the loss, the series was historic for the Bears as well, going down in history as the only team to have made it to the finals for 7 straight years.
Welcome to Dialogue this week. In this corner, we invite guests from in and out of Korea to talk about a wide variety of issues ranging from culture and sports to the latest trends around the world. Today, we're going to talk about kimchi, Korea's representative traditional fermented food. Every November 22nd marks National Kimchi Day here in South Korea, and the day was designated as Kimchi Day by the Kimchi Industry Promotion Act to promote the nutritional excellence of kimchi. The numbers that make up the date are 11 and 22, which signify that each one of the ingredients in kimchi, such as cabbage, garlic, and red pepper, combine to give 22 benefits when consumed. In light of the day, a special event has been held in Central Seoul, where foreign ambassadors to Korea and their wives have been invited to make kimchi together and deliver the kimchi to childcare and nursing centers. For more on this event and Kimchi Day, we are joined by Konal Teymurova, spouse of Azerbaijan ambassador to the Republic of Korea, who attended the event via Skype. Good morning, Mrs. Teymurova. Great to have you on our show.
Good morning, Korea. Good morning, Arirang.
And also to give us a closer look at the benefits and the growth of kimchi in the global market, we have Michael Chun, Manager of Global Business Development at the KIT Corporation that has just launched PickyWiki, a global canned kimchi brand. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now first, let's start with a little bit of background on kimchi itself. Michael, how do you see kimchi's place as part of Korean cultural identity?
Well, they say that no Korean meal is complete without a dish of kimchi, and I believe that statement could not be more true. Historically in Korea, it was really hard to make fresh vegetables during the winter. However, when kimjang, which is kimchi making, first appeared, it became a community event that gathered people together to eat kimchi, share it, and spend time together. For that reason, it was registered as a national heritage item, and kimchi making was inscribed in UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2013.
Well, Michael, like I've just touched upon a while ago, November 22, which falls next Monday, is Kimchi Day. We usually see many people make kimchi at this time of the year. Is there a specific reason why kimchi is made when, the temperature drops for winter season?
Well, yes, there's two main reasons. In the past, there were no refrigerators. However, if you made it during the winter, the cold weather will preserve its crunchy texture and strong sweetness so that you can eat it deliciously for a long time. Furthermore, Kimchi Day is in the winter because kimchi is rich in probiotics, and when it is fermented in low temperatures, it is able to preserve a higher content of proteins, lipids, and organic acids.
So it's basically because of preservation issues. Now let's turn to Mrs. Timurova. You attended the kimchi making event last weekend. Can you tell us a bit about the experience?
Since I have been in Korea, I try to learn because this is the special national asset of Korean people and in general all the Korea. That makes it like even say kimchi when taking photos. So this event especially was for me very different because of the venue location where it was held, especially in Gyeongbok Palace, that took us to centuries back, surrounded by the buildings there and all the people, the joy and then that love they share with each other and they making kimchi. And I would like to highlight here that with Azerbaijan and kimchi, there is special affiliation or maybe some attachment after that. As Mr. Michael also mentioned, kimchi made to the UNESCO's heritage list in 2013, which especially was held in Azerbaijani capital Baku. So that's another thing that makes us closer to kimchi and make this event special, memorable for me.
Wow, making kimchi at the Gyeongbok Palace, it must have been really fun. Since you tried making kimchi yourself, what do you think it was about kimjang that shows Korean heritage? Like, what was most impressive for you?
First of all, I have to mention the hygiene of all the uniform that everybody cares, because even though despite the fact that they don't make it for themselves only, so they share it with less privileged people also, they still take care of each element of each step making kimchi and layering each leaves, don't miss anything. And that is the solidarity, that is the unity of the people, and that's the, as it is said, sharing is caring. That I think makes kimchi making, kimjang, very special.
Yes, it must have, the people who received the kimchi must have been really happy and, impressed by your thoughtfulness. But now to Michael. Hallyu, the Korean wave phenomenon, has made many Korean things popular around the world. But even then, some may say kimchi is an acquired taste. How do you think the perception of kimchi changed overseas?
Well, like you mentioned, Korean pop culture is at an all-time high demand, with TV series like Netflix's Squid Games, Oscar-winning films like Parasite, and K-pop stars BTS and Blackpink becoming global top stars. Korean entertainment is no longer seen as just exotic new entertainment from Eastern culture, but now it is mainstream entertainment that's watched globally. Similarly, people used to be curious about what K-food was. Now, however, they're eager to try and experience Korean food themselves. Kimchi being one of the main Korean food items has seen a strong rise in popularity and interest abroad. It's also interesting to note that kimchi historically was very difficult for foreigners to enjoy because it is difficult to cook and store and foreigners don't really know how to eat it. But despite these difficulties, there's a lot of content and media explaining how to make it and enjoy kimchi, which has also really helped kimchi rise in popularity.
Well, I have heard that Picky Wiki just had a grand global opening where it launched its canned kimchi. I must ask, why did you choose kimchi out of all other Korean representative foods?
Right. So our company is a media company that has spent years making content introducing Korean food to global audience members. And we found kimchi to be one of the 3 most popular Korean food items amongst foreigners. For kimchi, even though there was a strong rise in popularity recently, there's still a strong mystery surrounding what kimchi really is, how to eat it, what to eat it with, and how to make it. As Korea's most popular representative item, we wanted to create kimchi that foreigners specifically would be able to enjoy, and then create a lot of fun content that really helps connect kimchi to global audience members.
So it's not just about food, it's also about, connecting with the global audiences. Now, let's turn to Mrs. Taymurova. As kimchi becomes more widely known and more accessible, would you be willing to take some kimchi back to Azerbaijan? And do you think it pairs well with your cuisine?
Actually, since we have been living in Korea, some Azerbaijani friends, they asked us to take kimchi for them, not for only ourselves, but for our friends. We have been taking already. And I believe that we will really try to make it even in Azerbaijan, because even my kids, they are in love with kimchi. So my son currently, one of them left for his undergrad studies, and he calls me that, Mom, I miss Korean food, I miss kimchi, even though he has access to some Korean food restaurants abroad. But the special taste and the atmosphere we have here, I think that it will be missed a lot when we leave Korea, and we will definitely take kimchi with us.
Wow, I'm surprised, that many people love the taste of, the spiciness of kimchi. But in Azerbaijan, is there a comparable dish to Korean kimchi, or the, Azerbaijan equivalent of kimchi there?
I have to mention that, like, when I was reading about kimchi, I saw that kimchi first was made without the spice, without the red pepper. And in Azerbaijan, we are making pickle from cabbage and carrots without any spice. So people can add little bit touch of little tangled spice in it, but it is from the regular cabbage, not exactly the cabbage that is kimchi is made. And this pickle can be equivalent because we also start making it in autumn. This is the season for us to make kimchi, and the only difference maybe we eat kimchi, that other kimchi, Azerbaijani pickle, during winter season, not in summer. I think, that this is the similar part, kimchi and Azerbaijani pickle, that is connecting us in memories, that it's Azerbaijani kimchi we call now.
Wow, Azerbaijani pickle. I really want to take a taste it. I'm curious about it now. Well, kimchi. Speaking of kimchi and its popularity, I want to stress about kimchi's healthiness. Kimchi has been dubbed the Korean superfood, and we generally know that it's good for our health. But Michael, can you remind us what are some health benefits of kimchi?
Well, famous Hollywood actress Gwyneth Paltrow actually became a hot topic when she said she overcame Corona-19 with kimchi. Kimchi is known to be high on probiotics and lactic acid bacteria and anti-cancer substances. Therefore, it's really good for the immune system and preventing cancer. In addition, there are a lot of studies showing that it contains the various vitamins and fibers and is good for skin health, anti-aging, and prevention of tooth decay.
Okay, that's definitely an answer. What is unique about Picky Wiki's kimchi then? in the process of turning the fermented cabbage into a canned food, what elements of kimchi have been preserved in the process?
Right, so some of the most common barriers preventing foreigners from buying kimchi is its smell, storage, and convenience. Picky Wiki Kimchi was developed so that foreigners can enjoy kimchi more conveniently in their everyday lives. It is finely chopped so that it is easy for cooking. It was also made into one single canned portion so that it can all be eaten at once or mixed together with other food items. And we adjusted the taste so that it pairs really well with local food items so that you can make food items such as kimchi tacos, kimchi pizza, kimchi burgers. The basic ingredients are the same as kimchi. However, in Picky Wiki Kimchi, we took out the garlic and the salted fish, and while adding in other ingredients so that the vegans can also enjoy it without any discomfort. We believe we can make kimchi even more popular amongst global audience members, and everyone should be able to enjoy it and like it even more.
Well, this canned kimchi, I'm also curious about taking it, but you said your purpose is to reach the global audience. Do you have any specific, target in mind?
We're targeting young, trendy, the millennials, the Gen Zs, explaining how to eat kimchi. We're creating a lot of content and doing a lot of partnerships with influencers and celebrities who've tried kimchi before and really back it and really enjoy it, so that we can make kimchi just as popular as BTS or Blackpink or any of the, the Netflix Squid Games or dramas out there.
All right. We certainly hope that day would come. Now, this certainly was a very healthy and interesting discussion, but I'm afraid we will have to wrap up at this point. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tamarova and Michael. We appreciate your time and contribution.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. Canada continues to struggle to reach 18,000 people stranded after floods and mudslides destroyed roads, houses, and bridges following a massive storm that hit overnight on Sunday in what could be the costliest natural disaster in the country's history. While receding floodwaters were helping rescue efforts, the downpour blocked off entire towns in British Columbia, cutting access to the country's largest port in Vancouver and further disrupting already strained global supply chains. While one casualty has been reported from the massive storm, Premier John Horgan says the death toll is likely to rise. Experts say wildfires in the same region during the intense heat wave this summer may have left hills devoid of vegetation, contributing to the flooding and mudslides. A state of emergency has been declared in British Columbia, while Canadian armed forces have also been deployed to help the stranded residents. The Russian military said Thursday that it test-fired its Srikan hypersonic cruise missile from a warship, hitting a target in the White Sea. According to the state-run TASS news agency, the latest test firing is one of 5 Russia plans to conduct. President Vladimir Putin has dubbed the Srikan as being invincible, as Moscow hopes to gain an edge in any arms race with the U.S. amid growing tensions. Hypersonic weapons are known to be much harder to track and intercept than traditional projectiles, as they can travel more than 5 times the speed of sound and maneuver mid-flight. Becoming the godfather of a child is a special moment for any person, but how about becoming a godfather to panda cubs? It's certainly an unusual thing, but Kylian Mbappe is no ordinary man. The Paris Saint-Germain footballer, along with Chinese Olympic diving champion Zhang Jiaqi, became godparents on Thursday to 2 baby pandas born at a French zoo earlier this year. At the ceremony at Beauval Zoo, the 3-month-old twin cubs named Yan Dudu and Huan Li met their godparents, something the French striker described as a big moment for him. The cubs were born to 2 pandas loaned from China in 2012. Their arrival at the time was hailed as a sign of warming diplomatic ties between Paris and Beijing. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Good morning. It's that unwelcome guest again we need to brace for. Fine dust from overseas will blow in, boosting ultra-fine dust levels across Korea. So please have a face mask that can block fine dust today. Thick fog is reducing visibility in many inland regions, but they should burn off as the day goes on. And morning temperatures are 2 to 6 degrees higher than the same time yesterday. Daily highs will also be similar to slightly higher than Thursday, going up to 17 degrees here in the capital, 20 degrees over in Busan. And some exciting news for sky watchers, as there will be a partial lunar eclipse occurring around 6:03 p.m. here in Seoul this evening. And we are expecting fairly clear skies, so there should not be a big problem observing it. It's going to be warmer than normal through the weekend, with rain in the forecast on the west and south coast from Sunday evening. With that, here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's all the time we have for this Friday edition of New Day at Arirang. We will see you again at the same time on Monday. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. Have a wonderful weekend.
And I'm Mark Broom. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll be back with more news at 10 a.m. Korea time in just over an hour from now. Goodbye, and we'll see you next week.
Everyone knows I'm passionate. Know why? Look at how passionate Koreans are. And you know I'm fast. Don't blink. Koreans move fast too. I'm creative on the pitch. People say I'm smart. Just look how smart Korea is.